Welcome back to another episode of Graps and Yaps. This is your go-to podcast for everything that is pro wrestling. We are going to recap what's happened inside and outside of the ring from the last week, and whether you are indeed a lifelong fan like us, or you're a victim of the wrestling algorithm, hey, welcome. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoy it. I'm Phil Fresh, one half of the show here. I'm sure somewhat disappointed with my co-host TF after the events that took place last night in the State of Origin. Tony Free, hello, how are you?
I thought Blues in two was a sure thing, but Queensland come out and absolutely dominated us last night. So we're going to Game 3, Brisbane, which is never a good sign, playing up at Suncorp in front of 50,000 two-headed pigs.
Going into a Game 3 decider in Queensland, I can only imagine is the similar feeling that people got when they got told by Teddy Long that they will have to go one-on-one with The Undertaker.
Same
It
vibe.
feels like that is the same level of disappointment, and anxiousness, and nervousness as well. Yeah, last night was not good. We started off well. It felt like it was on, and then we played another 40 minutes. And yeah, we got belt to ass. It wasn't a pretty sight. But we can save it to the end. Unless Tony, for you have some thoughts that you want to get off your chest.
Some strong thoughts, and it's all got to do with Laurie Daly. So if anyone has to go one-on-one with The Undertaker this week, it's Laurie Daly. Some very questionable
he deserves it.
decisions in that match. But look, it wasn't all doom and gloom this week in terms of the sporting landscape. You know, the Socceroos had an awesome 2-0 win. That was great. Sunday afternoon, I was down at, me and Flick went down to a bowling club in our area, and it was just going off like kids on the bowling greens, kicking the soccer ball around. And really, really good stuff. See the Socceroos.
Truly is the world game. I feel like everyone, just seeing clips as well of other countries, like seeing their fans get around them, like across the world, and it is really nice to see. We will get back to the State of Origin later on. Obviously, there was a question put on our social media. If you don't follow it, you better do so now, because guess what? You're going to get more of that kind of stuff at Graps and Yaps on Instagram. A kind of fun little feedback idea that we got going on. We'll get into that later on. But yeah, big weekend of sport as well. Obviously, the Socceroos, big win. We got the States coming up this weekend. And also, I guess this kind of touches in on outside the ring news. The New York Knicks
in
winning
5.
their first NBA championship in 53 years. Yeah, in 5, defeating the San Antonio Spurs. That was a fun moment. Speaking of seeing people get around it, I mean, the New York fans are neck level. They're another level. And I believe the parade is on tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, in New York. So it can only get crazier than that. But one of the biggest, I guess, new fans, or maybe he's kind of like a cult hero in the New York City fandom, is the one and only Danhausen. Lots of Danhausen mentions on here. And how big a part do you think Danhausen played in this New York Knicks championship run?
He single-handedly turned it around. It was all Danhausen. Once he uncursed them, they went on that crazy run where they lost, one game in the space of 7 weeks or something like that. Absolutely insane. So cool to see that, the partnership there now with the Knicks and WWE, with all the merch, the Danhausen merch. We had the connection already with Jalen Brunson and the WWE. We've seen, Brunson cameo a few times across a few PLEs in the past, 12, 18 months. So good to see that relationship's alive. And yeah, Danhausen's just really taken it to the next level now, especially on a larger mainstream level.
Yeah, I think last week we spoke about it. I still think that to this day, Danhausen, he's just gaining more and more momentum, more motion, more so than some of the top stars in the WWE. And this is proof of it here, where everyone's talking about, like, it's funny when you're seeing people like Iman Shumpert talking about Danhausen and the curse, Stephen A. Smith, like everyone's mentioned Ben Stiller. You know what I mean? Like it's that is reach that is, I don't know if they've ever hit that before, but yeah. Big stuff there. They've also got Saturday night's main event happening at the Garden next month. and you mentioned Jalen Brunson, known lifelong mark. I wonder what he'll have to be there, and I wonder at what capacity, right?
Well, let's remember, like he's just coming off a very long season, so he might want to be, off doing his own thing, maybe, holidaying in some part of, some nice coastal region of Europe. But I would not, I wouldn't eliminate the chances of Brunson popping up for that MSG show. That's for sure, and especially with Danhausen, something has to happen. Maybe we're bringing back Halliburton for some sort of cameo. Can we finally get that Brunson and Halliburton match in some way, like tag match or something?
Oh God, you know what? There's too much money in the NBA for either of them to be doing anything physical while they're playing. But I do love the idea of like, I feel like there'll be a lot of anticipation about Jalen Brunson being there. And imagine like the heat if it's a G up for Jalen Brunson and then Halliburton comes out, or it's Trey Young. You know what I mean? Like that would be such a funny pivot. But yeah, that comes up next month. Another outside the ring news. There was also another sporting event. This one, oh mate, I got to be honest with you. It was one of the corniest and tackiest things I've ever seen in my life. UFC 250 outside of the White House on the front lawn. Roman Reigns was in attendance with Triple H, the COO. And, well, this one I caught on Twitter. The UFC tweeted out a photo of the OTC at UFC. And then Conor McGregor quote tweeted it saying, "Who?" Question mark. Conor McGregor is no stranger to some, chatting up about the WWE. And also, Conor McGregor hasn't been. I mean, I don't really follow the UFC like that, but he hasn't been around for a while, right, Tony?
This has been relevant for probably 4 years. I don't know what he's been doing.
Ugh,
He hasn't had a match in a long time,
yikes.
and I think his last few he got destroyed. So he went on a big steroid and cocaine binge for a few years there. So I think he's still trying to cling on to any relevancy that he can try and muster right now. So it's like he's just attaching himself there to the OTC, the guy who has all the aura and all the momentum and all the relevance right now. So Conor McGregor is trying to get that one night stay in at the island of relevancy. Don't know if it's going to work for him.
And also, let's not deny the fact that this man does the Vince McMahon strut as well. Let's not forget about that. And he talks like he's Ric Flair. Okay, you know what I mean? If anything, this guy's he's a true worker. He is a wrestling fan, and he's just playing the part. He's doing some real life heat stuff. But this does lead into our recap of the week. We had Raw, we had SmackDown, there's King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring stuff to get through. But let's start with this, the opening of Monday Night Raw, with Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf, gets officially welcomed into the bloodline. Before we get into what the aftermath, I guess, of this welcoming, this was a fun way to start the show. I didn't know that Roman was scheduled. I didn't think that he would be, but I really enjoyed this segment, Tony.
I did, but did it need to be 30 minutes long for us to get to that conclusion? Did it really need to be 30 minutes at the start of Raw? We're talking about 20% of your televised show here being taken up by this segment.
Did you think that, like, is this something that you were like watching live and you're going, this is taking forever? Because I'll be honest, I was watching it and I was like, I didn't even think about how long it was going for.
At the time, no. But then by the time we get into the main event of the night and it's going for 5 minutes, I look back through the show and say, what took up all the time? And suddenly I realized that Bloodline segment, the very first one, like there were multiple throughout the night, but that very first one took up 30 minutes. And I think realistically, a lot of it is forgettable. The only parts that we're taking away from this are what happened towards the end.
Really? I have to disagree. I say, and the main event was the King of the Ring, right? That was Oba and Dom,
Omer and Dom.
and that went for 5 minutes.
Well, the bell rang. It was probably 5 minutes in length, but remember, Dom was running away from Oba for about 1 minute to 90 seconds there. So it's a 3 minute match.
But that, in kayfabe though, that kind of does make sense, right?
It does,
Like,
but then,
were you expecting a longer match?
but then your King of the Ring matches here are getting 9, 10 minutes absolute max. And, I don't think any of the actual wrestling matches here were great. But getting back to like the Bloodline segment, it didn't feel like it at the start, but it's just in like looking at the bigger picture, it took too much time considering, what the actual point of it was in the end. Because I'll be honest, when Roman Reigns came down and, he's dapping up Eric Andre, I'm like, oh, cool, Eric Andre's here. Like, didn't think too much of it, didn't think he'd be involved in anything. So I think, cool little full circle moment by the time they got to the end, where we saw, Jacob Fatu splashing Eric Andre in the ring twice because Roman Reigns gave him the okay to do it. I thought it was interesting, but like everything else in between, nothing new that I've seen before. Like we know that Jacob Fatu is not listening to the Usos.
Look, I got to disagree with you, man. I didn't think that it dragged out. Like, I didn't even know that it took 30 minutes until you've brought it up there. But I think that's to honestly, that's kind of my most like level of intrigue in the storylines in WWE is that one, the Bloodline storyline. Um, obviously, yeah, maybe there's an argument where it did drag on. There were certain parts where you're like, all right, well, we've already seen this with obviously the tension between the Usos and Jacob Fatu, but you know. I think the big sell here was Roman and Jacob finally getting on the same page, and like now it feels like Jacob is part of the bloodline, and he is actually he's a man of his word, where he said he will acknowledge the OTC, he will acknowledge his tribal chief, and he's just I don't know, man, like he is so just the visuals of like them and the visual cues between Roman and Jacob were just on point. Like obviously Jacob not taking any shit from Eric Andre, who, to be fair, he put that on himself. But yeah, just that moment where like he's being the shit out of Eric Andre, he's setting him up for his first splash, and Roman's looking at him going, nah. And then he just goes, he ponders it, then goes, yeah, actually, matter of fact, do it. After the splash, Jacob's, he's like, spamming his emotes, and then Roman's outside talking again. It really feels like this is like, it feels familiar, but it also feels different. Like, I'm loving this right now, and Jacob, and I love the dynamic between Jacob and the Usos, where he's like, no, I'm not, like, I didn't lose to you guys in the match, like, I lost to Roman, so I'm only talking to Roman. There is the solo Sikoa involvement on SmackDown, where Jacob kind of confronts Solo and says, Roman wants you to come home. Solo, being, very youngest sibling energy, being like, he wants, no, hell no, like, he wants me, he can come find me. I wonder how long this is going to take before we get Solo back in the bloodline. What do you think?
I feel like, well, it depends which version of the bloodline we're talking about here. I feel like we're on path to a big fracture in the bloodline, where we'll see Roman and Jacob splitting, or they're going to be doing their own thing. But I think the Usos will split from Roman, especially now with this King of the Ring tournament getting to the pointy end. I can see Jey Uso winning the tournament and then taking on Roman Reigns because of this split that I think will happen. It just depends if it's going to happen, that quickly before SummerSlam. But if Solo does come back, which side would he go to? I don't think Solo Sikoa will be coming back to a bloodline that has the Usos, Roman Reigns, and Jacob Fatu. I feel like, if anything, Solo Sikoa will be coming back to either the Usos or he's going back to Roman and Jacob.
Yeah, I guess it's still kind of undefined, but it does. Solo was involved in that King of the Ring, Fatal 4 that happened on SmackDown, which, as you alluded to, Jey Uso won. That was a fun match, and can I just say, I didn't think he was gonna win. After he won, and the shots of him after the match, talking his shit, looking at the king, like the crown, pointing at the crown, the shot of him, like kind of like getting, all giddy, like in front of the crown. I need that. I need to see an unhinged King Jey Uso. But I don't think that he goes for Roman, man. Like, I feel like that's still, like, we've done that. We've seen it. And what they're setting up here now, like on TV, is like, Jey has told Cody explicitly, when I win this, I'm coming for that. Like, I don't know. So do you, are you picking like favorites here in the King of the Ring? Are you going with Jay?
I'm going with Jay now because I don't think Oba wins it because of Brock Lesnar. That's being teased way too much. But just remember, if Jey Uso wins King of the Ring and he goes after Cody Rhodes and he does win that championship, he's over on SmackDown. He's not going to be running Raw with the Bloodline. I think it makes sense that Jey Uso has to. If well, he doesn't have to because he can still lose to Cody at SummerSlam, but I feel that's if Gunther doesn't win it in the first place. But I can't see Jay over there on SmackDown being separated from the Bloodline, which is obviously the biggest story in the WWE at the moment. So Jay is on a collision course at the moment with Roman Reigns.
They could still do like a well, right, the Bloodline is running everything now. Like we got SmackDown, Roman's on Raw. Like they could still like allude to it. I feel like, and obviously, I think anyone that goes up against anyone in the Bloodline will be talking about the Bloodline. I mean, we've seen that with LA Knight more than late, but the LA Knight stuff as well. I don't know. Did you see that report about how LA Knight he was penciled to win King of the Ring, or something or other, something to do with his booking?
Did you see
this?
Who's the source? Trust me, bro. Again,
I don't know who the source is. I always see people talking about, oh, well, LA Knight should have done this and he was meant to win this. And I'm like, where do you guys get this from? Where is this coming from?
hey,
This is fake news.
One thing I've learned the last 3 years, they're not penciling in LA Knight for anything.
Yeah, look, again, I don't know why I also don't know why we're running back this like LA Knight, Jey Uso stuff. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't. I feel like we've been seeing this matchup for like a year, at least a year now. Am I wrong?
I think he's even saying it in his promos at the moment, how he's in this, vortex of Bloodline
still doing
2.0 MFTs. He said it himself. So, yeah, he's well and truly stuck in that.
Honestly, he's just got to go heel at this point. He's just got to go heel at this point. Speaking of King of the Ring, Obafemi defeating Dom Mysterio on Raw. He advances to the King of the Ring final. He will face the winner from this week's match on SmackDown between Javon Evans and Jey Uso. Now, Javon Evans he came out and addressed the Yeet Man himself. And, I was all in on having a Javon Evans Obafemi final, but obviously things have changed when, Jay's talking about Cody. There's the teasing of Jay winning King of the Ring. But also, when Logan Paul came back, out of nowhere, surprise return from Logan Paul. Mind you, he's still injured. He's still in the cast. But he comes out randomly with Austin Theory, and they try to recruit Javon to the Vision, which obviously Javon makes the right choice. He says, hell no, because why would anyone want to join the Vision? For what reason would anyone want to join the Vision if we're being real? What'd you make of this? I wasn't expecting Logan Paul to be back.
I'm just going to say, it was forgettable. Like, the segment, I guess I can take, like, the Javon part, just spruiking himself up for the King of the Ring tournament, but the Austin Theory and Logan Paul of it all, the match that we got out of this, not for me.
What are we doing? Like, what's happening? At least it's a nice sign. Like, obviously Logan is good on the mic and he's a great generator of getting heat from the crowd. So I guess, if he's not going to wrestle, which obviously he can't, it's not a bad idea having him out there, cutting promos, maybe on commentary, being backstage or whatever. But if anything, what this told me was that Javon Evans is not winning King of the Ring. They've already set up like, hey, when he doesn't win, he's got a program with Logan Paul, or he's got a program with Austin Theory, or Braun Breaker, or whatever.
Do you know what they've done here? They've just
What?
They've just copy pasted whatever they were doing with him in the New Day before, and they're just doing it now with the Vision.
Hey, that is true. Actually, that's a good point. Because then Braun Breaker came out. Oh yeah, also, well then Braun Breaker came out afterwards after the impromptu match with him and Austin Theory. Spears Javon Evans mid OG cutter, which was kind of cool. But then the Street Profits come out. Street Profits coming out. Angela Dawkins back again as well. So then now it's like the Vision are just outnumbered as well. Because, you've got the Street Profits, Javon Evans, and Seth Rollins up against the three in the Vision. Just disband. Please. I'm begging you. Stop doing this. Enough is enough.
Well, we're also getting a steel cage match now between Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. So
Yeah, true.
this is still going for who knows
If
how long.
that is not the last match, I swear to God. But look, let's not get carried away because there's not really much to talk about here. The Queen of the Ring on SmackDown, Charlotte Flair, winning her Fatal 4-Way, advancing to the semi-finals to face Liv Morgan. I believe that's happening on SmackDown this week, right? Or is that happening next week? Maybe I'm not too sure exactly. The Fatal 4-Way between Charlotte, Jade, Lyra, and who was the fourth? Was it Chelsea? No, it wasn't Chelsea.
No,
I'm forgetting who was the fourth in there. Apologies.
I can't remember.
Who was the fourth in there? Oh, jeez, terrible work from all of us.
Look, Charlotte won. That's what matters.
The match itself was fun. Lyra was fun to watch, and there was a bit of an awkward moment, and it kind of derailed the match where Jade Cargill's wig kind of came off during one of the spots, and
Her
she
wig got snatched.
spent the rest of the match holding it onto it for dear life. She actually tweeted out, which is kind of funny, because she did this interview. I think it was on the Joe Budden podcast, where she's like, "Oh, my nightmare is like my wig comes off." And she tweeted out after the match, she's like, "Yeah, the nightmare happened tonight." But yeah, it was very awkward. I was like, "Oh no!" Like just watching, I was like, "No, no, no!" And there was still much more of the match to go as well.
I was watching and like Flick was like sitting with me on the couch, but she was on her phone at the time, and I saw it happen, and I was like, "Oh!" And I had to pause it, and I was like, "Flick, look, ran it back like 10 seconds," and then she's like, "Oh my God." That's like, yeah, honestly, that would be like ultimate nightmare is your wig coming off like that. And then she had to like battle through like the rest of the, it was probably like a few minutes left in the ring there in the match. And she has to literally just hold her wig through everything.
Yeah,
through
she's doing everything with one hand.
And she's on the ground getting pinned, holding her wig. I'm like, oh, you poor girl.
Yeah. Yeah, poor girl. She got through it though. She got through it. And I will say I will commend you, Tony Free, on your growth. After everything we spoke about on last week's podcast, because the fourth member of that match was your favorite, Sol Ruka. So obviously you've blocked her out mentally. Well done.
I have I'm very fair, and I treat everybody evenly, except for Chelsea Green.
You've blocked her out after getting word from your partner, Flick. Well done. So Charlotte will face Liv Morgan in the semi-finals. The winner of that will face Io Sky, who defeated Raquel Rodriguez to advance to the finals. I think, from the jump, Io Sky was the favorite. She's still in it, and I'll say it, she still is the favorite. Have you changed your mind, Tony Free?
I'm in a toss-up between Io and Charlotte. Because let's remember, like, winner's getting a match here at SummerSlam. Charlotte has never won Queen of the Ring, and that's pretty crazy. I think there's only been 3 Queen of the Rings anyway, so she's the queen. So if she were to win Queen of the Ring, it makes 100% sense there, and logic is applied. But getting Charlotte into a world title match at SummerSlam makes a lot of sense too. You need to have for those big events, it makes sense for Charlotte to be in the main, well, not the main event, but in the spotlight in one of those matches. So if it was Charlotte versus Rhea or Charlotte versus Liv, I think, both matches would be really great. And then on the flip side of that, we could be getting Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam, which is also very exciting.
Yeah. I think they're good spots to be in. My thought process here is, I hear the Charlotte Flair stuff, but I think that it's easier to put Charlotte in a program with a Rhea. Like, there's obviously been like, they're teasing their friendship and whether they can get along for the last few weeks. It's easier to get to a Charlotte and Rhea match. Whereas Io Sky obviously has nothing really going for her. She hasn't really done too much. So if, you give her that Queen of the Ring and then you give her the match where it's like, all right, so well, here we are now. Whereas Charlotte, she doesn't need it, I guess is what I'm getting at. Charlotte doesn't need the win to get to a title match, but I do think that Io Sky needs the win to get to a title match. So yeah, but I agree. Either outcome of whether it is Charlotte or Io, like it's good news, regardless. Obafemi, of course, defeating Dom Mysterio. We spoke about it very briefly. Kind of a squash match, according to Tony Free's time of the match. But I mean, it makes sense. You got someone like Obafemi who is literally putting belt to ass on anyone, and you get someone like a chicken shit heel in Dom Mysterio. I don't know. Yeah, it did. It did end like kind of abruptly. It kind of finished, and I was like, "Oh, that's it." Like that was the end of Raw. Like, yeah. Now that,
Yep.
that I'm thinking about it, but
I
yeah,
was
Open Family
also
doesn't seem to be done.
I was also waiting for Brock Lesnar to make an appearance as well. I think that was the other thing for me.
Well, you know what I liked? What I liked was that Obafemi actually said that.
Yeah, that was
Like
good.
he cuts the promo after Raw, and then he goes, "I actually thought you were going to be here tonight." And it's like, yeah, actually, you know what? We need
We
more
all did.
wrestlers just to be like, hey, yeah, that's right. I'm glad you brought it up because we thought it was going to happen too. Um, yeah, I mean, if anything, this means we getting Brock Lesnar in Saudi, right?
100%. It has to happen now. He's costing over
Yeah.
Femi that match for sure.
What do you do with Dom Mysterio? What happens with Dom Mysterio from now on? What are we like?
Oh,
Where are we at with him?
I don't know. He was on an all-time run last year, and then for no
Yeah,
fault of his own, they've just pulled the legs out from under him, and now he's just in the wilderness. With thankfully the Judgment Day stuff is finished with Finn Balor. But yeah, what do they do now? Because it just seems like they've run out of ideas. So I'm sure there'll be something
hey,
soon, but it might have to be tied into whatever happens with Liv. And I don't feel like, as I said, I don't feel like the winner of Queen of the Ring will take on Liv, and I don't see Liv winning Queen of the Ring. So maybe there's a little bit here to play out with what's happening with the Judgment Day, and I think Dom will be tied into that with the girls and their drama with Liv.
you know what I've just remembered, and this might answer the question. During Raw, we saw Liv Morgan go up to the very nice, very evil Danhausen, asking him to, help her boy out, Dom Mysterio. Obviously, that did not work out. Maybe, maybe this leads to a Dom Mysterio Danhausen feud. And like I said at the start, Saturday night's main event at the Garden. Hey, maybe that's the Jalen Brunson spot right there. Maybe I don't think he's in the match, but maybe we get a Danhausen Dom Mysterio match and Jalen Brunson, helps out his boy. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that could happen. That would make sense. And Dom's always great at
Yeah.
generating heat too. So, and if there's anyone that's good at the sports entertainment side of things, like obviously aside from Danhausen, Dominic Mysterio is right up there too.
Absolutely. Agreed. On the other side of things, on SmackDown, the other main championship, um, we've got a title match happening this week, and with a special guest referee, Sami Zayn, the last real good guy. Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes go head to head, face to face on the mic. I really enjoyed this segment, and I actually feel like they've pulled the trigger, and we're actually getting a bit of development in this storyline because Sami Zayn is doing fantastic heel work. Like it's so condescending and like backhanded, and he's still like doing it as if he's like a good guy. He's as if he's the babyface.
What's on the
But like the
shirt?
things that he's saying, exactly that. He's the last real good guy, right? But I just love the way that like he's so whiny, but it's so purpose. Like he's doing everything. Like it's so calculated, and I'm loving where this feud is at right now. I particularly loved when he was like, he comes out and he's talking about the fans, and he's like, I don't want to compare you guys to the crowds in France and in Spain and in Italy, but they were so much better than coming back here. You know what I mean? Like they understood me. They actually not like you guys. Like it was great, man. How do you feel about where we're at with this development?
Yeah, I am interested, and it does make the result between Gunther and Cody that little bit clouded. Like it's a little bit more hard to predict now as to what's going to happen and how this love triangle between the three is going to develop. So yeah, I'm strapped in. I'm looking forward to seeing how this happens and what Sammy's impact's going to be here as a special guest referee. Kind of like if you think about it, he does have beef with both of them. It's just it seems like this this tension with Cody right now. It just seems like these are the fresher wounds. So yeah, very very intrigued to see what happens going forward now.
Yeah, I also think that what Cody and Sammy were talking about in the promo were like they were both justified in why they were mad. Like they brought up WrestleMania 40 and how Sammy, was the first one in the ring to congratulate Cody winning the championship. Cody basically going, dude, everyone's saying you suck because you suck. You legit suck right now. Like they were both like saying, neither of them were saying things that were like necessarily untrue. Like it was very valid, which obviously led to the slap off. But yeah, this title match, man, I don't know. I can't pick it. Like I have no idea which way it's going to go. If there was ever a time where you could take the belt off of Cody, like this would have to be it. But it does throw a spanner into the works of, what we had in mind. We were just discussing about King of the Ring and Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. So yeah, I don't know which way this is going to go. You're saying it's cloudy. I guess we should let's get a prediction in. Let's get before we get into SmackDown. What do you reckon, TF? Is Cody retaining? Is it going to be a little bit messy? Are we going to get a third match? What do you think?
I'll say Cody retains, but it's going to be in some sort of, very dramatic fashion that involves Sami Zayn. And maybe we're going to get some hot potato with the title for the next couple months between these three, where it's just going to change. And Sami Zayn might have, a little run here for the first time as world champion. But I wouldn't be, we don't see it happen much now where the title gets hot potato like it used to back in the day, like especially after WrestleMania. So maybe we're due for one of those runs.
Yeah, I think, if you look both scenarios, win or loss for Cody, I think that there's more to gain from a Cody loss. Because I worry that, like, if Cody wins the belt here, even with Sammy as the referee, like, what does that mean for Gunther? Like, what does he do? Because now he's lost it twice. I mean, I guess you can go with the angle that, like, he's lost it twice due to, some sus ref decisions. And maybe that goes to another one. But it's very reminiscent of what happened to Drew McIntyre when him and Cody were fighting for the belt, right? Like, how many times did Drew get screwed over? Or how many times did he lose? And it just didn't feel like, he didn't have anything to gain from it. I worry that that's going to be the same thing for Gunther. What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. But, like, I feel like Gunther at the moment, he has, because if we look at it with Drew McIntyre, he'd kind of already gone through everybody. He'd been on SmackDown for so long and, there wasn't really, much out there for him, like other than that. Whereas Gunther, he's just come to SmackDown. He's fresh. There's different, he doesn't just have Cody that he can be feuding with. If he loses again, I'm sure he can go and find somebody else, maybe a Randy Orton when he returns or, something like that. There's other things for Gunther to do besides Cody Rhodes.
What about your hypothesized retirement angle with Brock Lesnar?
That too. That I think
that's still on the cards.
Still on the cards for some. It has to be on the cards for some.
Really? Man, now that I've remembered it, I'm just like, man, yeah. I think the whole yarn was a retirement angle, but then he's out saying that he's already retired. So is this like a double or nothing situation? Like, you have to be retired after this. Like, I wonder how that plays out. And also, actually, that gives me another question. And we haven't spoken about it in a while. What the hell's going on with this John Cena Classic?
They haven't talked about it since.
Like, I know we're doing King of the Ring. That's, we can't be having two different tournaments at the same time. But we have not spoken about this. No one said anything about this since he announced it on Saturday night's. No, that was on Backlash. It was even further back.
Maybe they're hoping everyone's forgotten about it and they're just not going to run with it because it was such a bad idea. Like, so they announced it.
It feels like that.
Mid-May, so a month ago, and I don't think it's been spoken about ever since.
No. Like, why? But also, like, why did they announce it then when they knew they had King and Queen of the Ring? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it might be a case of if we don't bring this up again, maybe people will forget about it. But damn, man. What's going on? That's something we need to address.
When is it? I'm just trying to Google it now, but like, when is it supposed to happen?
I don't think that there was a time mentioned. I think he just said that this was a tournament that's going to happen, and there's going to be a new belt, and then yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happened since. I mean, John Cena, he's got this new movie out with Eric Andre on Netflix. But I gotta say, man, John Cena in his retirement, he's taken L after L. I gotta be real, man. This is not working out. I'm looking it up now, and apparently this might be a quote. I don't know what this is from, but this is a quote from John Cena. He says, "It's still a work in progress. We've got to figure out the fan vote. I do not want it sabotaged. I do not want it hijacked. I know there's a lot of burner accounts out there, and there's a lot of bots out there."
It's not it.
John Cena's running the admin. Like he's like in the tech team now.
Oh, who knows, man? I think he's seen the backlash.
What's going on?
They're probably wondering how the hell do we make this work now? Like, we had this idea, but like practically and logistically, this thing is not set up to achieve any success.
Oh, goodness me, man. And you know what? Now, while I'm remembering things, let's play a game of where the hell are they? All right, let's start with this one. Stephanie Vaquer. Is she actually injured? That was the yarn, but
She must
I mean,
be.
what's the injury? She's been out for ages.
She has. So she might be put her on the shelf till SummerSlam, make sure she gets her body right, and then she can pick up where she left off.
Right. I mean, she still has a rematch, right? She still has that rematch clause with Liv.
She does. Sorry, I just was just going through a Reddit thread about this John Cena Classic, and it says someone said they're still figuring out what to do in the early stages, but it's been said that December is the time that it will be happening.
Why the hell did they announce it in May then?
Who knows? I think they had to sell
What the
tickets
hell,
for that
man?
backlash, and like, oh, John Cena's going to make a
they said,
historic
"Oh, just
announcement.
say-
Everybody get there. Just say this. Look, we haven't got anything. Just say this.
They literally just said, "John Cena, we need you here." And obviously John Cena being the company fan said yes. Then he got there and said, "What am I doing?" They said, "I don't know, just get out there and say something." He
Probably.
said, "There's a tournament."
But you don't have to win, and you can vote.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
And the thing about this is that you don't actually have to win the match to win the tournament. And there will be a belt. And we don't know how. But something will happen to make it happen. Jeez Louise, man. Yeah, a lot of questions about that. Ilya Dragunov. Where the hell's Ilya?
Yeah, good question. There's a lot. See, when we talk about
Joe Hendry?
this is the thing. When I'm saying like this Bloodline segment at the start of Raw doesn't need to be 30 minutes. There's a lot of people who aren't on TV right now that we could be giving a little bit more time to.
Oh, I know who they can give time to. And you know too, our boy, Big
Big G.
G, who has been posting on Instagram, leading to, it feels like, I don't know if this is like a storyline thing or maybe a personal thing or maybe it's both. But, a lot of motivational things, talking about patience and, just waiting for the right time and getting ready and, not complaining, but just being ready for it. And we've seen what Big G can do, obviously here back home, but also on NXT and also when he first started on the main roster. Let's get some cracking there. But, yeah, look, a lot of missing people. Anything else from the week of wrestling, Tony Free, that you want to get into?
Look, something that came across my desk this morning. So there's a few changes at TNA. So Tommy Dreamer, who was the head of creative, he's been let go of. So he's left. And it looks like the Road Dogg, Jesse James, is now going to be heading over to TNA after he was sacked from WWE SmackDown earlier this year.
Man, it's literally musical chairs, hey? Like, one person's out, they get the next person in, and then it seems like to be the same names as well. I didn't even know Tommy Dreamer was in charge of creative down there.
There you go.
So that's...
The more you know.
Yeah, there you go. The more you know. And now the Road Dogg, who, yeah, unfortunately, that most recent season of Unreal, he copped a bit of shit, didn't he? He copped a fair bit, and
Deservedly so. Look how,
I don't know.
how much better. Look how much better, and how much spotlight Chelsea Green is getting at the moment. Absolutely thriving in this post Road Dogg era.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Chelsea Green, she kind of came to the defense of Tiffany Stratton of SmackDown, which I thought was a pretty funny segment. Meechin and BFAB come get her backstage, and Chelsea Green runs out with a kendo stick. I thought that was great. I was sports entertained. I loved it.
Awesome. I'm liking these two as a pair as well. It works great. It honestly, like, it's just like a natural fit.
I don't know, man.
When we're talking about like running back the Total Divas era, like this is like why you put these two together, and that's you can just let it run from there. Bring it back. Total Divas, get it back on my screens. 2027, let's run it back.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm here for the drama.
I can't believe they haven't already, planned it.
You know what I saw the other day?
Tony Free is one of the girlies, man.
I saw this OG clip of Paige like riling up Natalia, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure TJ's gay. Him and Cesaro, they've got this like weird thing." And like Natty got to the point where she was like, "Oh, I got like real paranoid and had to like ring TJ and like check." I just shit like that, which we need to run back. I need to see like this current crop.
Yeah, but you know that.
I need to see like Chelsea's doing like shit like this.
Yeah, but you know that shit is just the same as what we see on Netflix and on SmackDown and stuff. It's all a work, right?
Hey, I'm here for it though. The girlies need their
You
own
know
spotlight.
what a classic. You know what a classic Total Divas episode was? Was when John Cena and Daniel Bryan were like doing that wood chopping contest.
No, the best is when the best is when I think it was I think Nikki Bella was like making dinner for John Cena, and he comes home and he's like, "Why are you doing this? I don't want this."
Yeah, that's right.
We could just go out.
He was so. You know what? That was the first glance of how weird John Cena is outside of the ring. Like that was our window into it, and now, since the retirement and in the last year or so, we've seen it more and more often. He is a strange cat, but yeah, honestly, Total Divas, those are the days. Bring it back. Honestly, who would you have in the cast? Like Chelsea Green, yeah, Tiffany Stratton,
Maxine.
I'd chuck in
Liv.
Nia Jax. Get Nia Jax in there. She's funny.
Nia Lash Legend
Jade?
have to be in there for sure. Jade would be in there. Bailey.
Liv.
Lyra. Charlotte.
I don't
and
think
Alexa
Rhea
would
would
be
be part of it.
She'd have to have like some little
Rhea
cameos
strikes me
where
as
she
someone
comes
who
in every now and then. She'd have to get like the big appearance fee to be on there. So, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, million
Get
an
Bailey
episode
on
or
there.
something." Bailey, 100%. And then like even, I'm just trying to think. Kathy Kelly and Jackie, get them in there too.
Yeah, that's right. Hey man, we have free ideas for free. All right, ideas for free right here on the Grafts and Yaps podcast. Something that happened on Raw. It was a match. Chad Gable up against Rusev. That was a fun match. Chad Gable getting the win and then getting the save from Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio at the end there. But the thing that really pissed me off was that Chad Gable got given a new theme song. And it is some redneck, Nickelback ass theme song that just does not suit him in the slightest. I heard it and I was like, you're taking the piss.
It's very white America Stars and Stripes, Gold Eagle shit.
What was wrong? Like, because last week he came out to like the Alpha Academy theme song, which we haven't heard in ages. When he made the save on Raw, why change it? Why give him this weird America theme song? Like, what are we doing here, man?
He's becoming the new, white meat babyface Mr. America right now. That's his thing.
But it's like, man, he's not that guy. Like, he's literally,
he's literally
man.
half Mexican right now. Give him a lucha.
Yeah, he's gotten the acceptance from the Lucha Libres, and you're turning him MAGA. You're giving this "Make America Great Again" ass.
He's
going
to come out with a red hat next week, and he'll be on the lawn of the
These
White House.
Idiots
in
here, man.
In a match.
I wonder who made it. And actually, let me look this up. What are the odds that it's a Def Rebel thing?
He'll be on Joe Rogan next week as well. By this stage, the way things are going.
We don't need to be doing that.
Erica Kirk's going to
I can't find out who made it.
accompany him to the ring.
Yeah, legit. No, don't say that because it'll actually happen, unfortunately.
Maybe Kid Rock can make his new theme song.
Kid Rock's already... No, Kid Rock can't look after him and The Undertaker's theme song. You can only do one at a time, but man, yeah, maybe Chad Gable should have been at UFC 250. Oh man, this is, just little things. It's details, man. You guys had a good thing going. Last week we were gassing it up, saying this guy could be world champion, and then you give him this theme song. That's enough. That's enough to derail the whole shit. I don't care. I don't care how it does nothing to do with what happens in the ring, but the theme song is just as important, okay?
Look, let's have some hope here
Man.
because remember when the Usos came out with that poor theme for 1 week, and then they switched it up straight away. Hopefully, WWE listens
They've
and
got
they.
like 6 different themes in the rotation.
That's true.
It's just me, Oos. It's you and me, Oos. We're together, Oos. Like, man, we're all one, Oos.
But they had that real slow one for a week, and the yeeting just didn't. Didn't sync. It didn't work with that one.
They tried to cancel the Yeats. Yeah, they tried to cancel the Yeats, and the Yeats were not cancelled. The Yeats actually, now the more than ever, Jay's been getting a lot of momentum. The Yeeting might be back, in case you forgot. And he did come out with him, and yet again, he's still killing it on the Instagram stories as well. I would just like to mention that as well. Some very good ones this week. All right. Well, I think that's kind of everything, Tony Free. Have I missed anything?
I think that was everything in the week. The week that was.
That's most of it. Now, before we get on out of here, on our social media, at Graps and Yaps, I put up a question asking people we had a list of wrestlers, and I asked the people, are these guys from Queensland or are they from New South Wales? All right, some fun. And I've got the results here, but I'd also like to get your thoughts and have a discussion here, Tony Free, obviously in the spirit of State of Origin. So the first wrestler that we got, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Is he from Queensland or is he from New South Wales? Majority said that he is a Queenslander. And I've got to agree. I think he is so inherently Queenslander. You don't think he is?
Is it because he's a redneck?
I think that there's a part of that. He strikes me as someone who has always lived in Queensland, and he just... I try to picture him in a Maroons jersey, and it looks so much better than him in a Blues jersey, unfortunately.
I don't know, man. That man was rocking a lot more blue than he was maroon throughout his career. He strikes me like a guy who could be on he obviously posts a lot of videos from his ranch there I think he's in Texas with his cats. But he strikes me as a man who could just be sinking beers out on his, rural New South Wales country farm, doing his thing. When I think of Stone Cold, I think about, the smoking skulls there, like that sky blue color. He seems like a New South Welshman to me.
Well, at Brody Hogg replied to our story and said specifically he's from Wagga, New South Wales. So maybe that's where he is situated. At Nick Bolt, however, said he's from Mackay. He's from Mackay, Queensland, and he heads to Townsville for a weekend. I'm not too sure what that means. But I do think that Stone Cold Steve Austin is a Queenslander. The next wrestler that we asked was the Yeet Man himself, main event Jey Uso. And this one, kind of surprising, the results from people responding. Majority Queenslander. What are your thoughts, TF?
Yeah, that one could go either way. That's a very hard one.
Yeah. I thought it was I thought it was an easy New South Wales, but then I thought about it more. I'm like, yeah, actually, he could be from Queensland.
Yeah, he could. He could be one of those guys that was born in New South Wales and, somehow is Queenslander. I've been a few of those.
Oh, no. He's one of those. No way. I love this comment here from @SlimJD. She said, New South Wales, but the era where we consistently lost. So Jey Uso was part of that.
The Jared
was part of
Hayne
the eight in a row. The Paul Gallen era, the 8 in a row era. That's when he was in there. And also Lockie McIntyre saying that he's New South Wales, but casual. I don't think he's casual. I think if Jey Uso was from Australia, he definitely played footy. And he was not a casual. So, yeah, majority are saying Queensland. The next one was a duo. It was Dom Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Where do you think this one went, Tony Free?
It's a very hard... I feel like everyone else would have said Queensland. I'd lean into the New South Wales side of things.
Well, the results said majority New South Wales. I think this pairing was an easy New South Wales. And I would say Specifically, they're from Southwest Sydney. They're from Liverpool. Like, or or Dom is from the inner west, and Liv is from Bondi. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd run with that too.
Right? They're not Queensland in the slightest, I don't think.
No, they don't have that. It's hard to say what it is, but they just don't have that Queensland spirit.
They don't have that Queensland spirit. Nick Bolt also replying to this one saying that they're from the Shire. What are your thoughts, TF?
Is that supposed to be like a slight on them too, saying they're from the Shire? I'm not sure, but I don't see it.
I don't know, but I'll hear it out. Brody Hogg saying this one was funny. Brody Hogg said they're from Perth. They don't care about the origin.
They're from Melbourne. They don't give a fuck.
And yeah, no, actually they are from Melbourne. They're not from Perth. They're definitely from Melbourne. Oh gosh! All right, couple more to go. Becky Lynch, the man. This one was right down the middle. It was pretty split. Undecided where Becky Lynch is from. I think though she's definitely from New South Wales.
I think she's a Queenslander, Becky Lynch.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Really? What makes you say that?
Queenslanders just love to spin the narrative and make it seem like everybody's against them, and that's just her. I'm the underdog.
I see the vision. I like it. Yeah. Always having a sook. Always having a whinge.
Yep. Oh, there's always something.
Well, Flick at Hello Flick said that she's from Coogee. Yeah, I guess it seems to be quite, a couple.
She's Irish.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's doing the lollipop shift. She's doing the lollipop shift. Early mornings, and then she's going to the beach after.
And then she's going to Ivy on the Saturday night.
Yeah, legit. All right, last one. The Dead Man, The Undertaker. This one was pretty close, but it came down to one vote. Undertaker is a Queenslander.
Yeah, I think so too.
And maybe I kind of also felt like that he was from regional New South Wales, but I think the tell is that he is a Ranger, and I think Rangers are more prominent in Queensland than they are in New South Wales. What do you think?
You can also find them in Dubbo, but I think the Undertaker, very big. He'd be a very big One Nation guy, which I just really assimilate with Queenslanders right now.
No. Well, it's funny that you say that. A friend of mine, shout out to... Yeah, oh, don't put that on my dead man. Shout out to Tom and Sav, and you, Tony Free, because Tom said that The Undertaker is from Dubbo. So, and clearly there's a trend going on there. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Tuck Man is from Dubbo, right?
He is.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yep, he is.
Can we rule out the fact that the Tuck Man could be The Undertaker's son? Can we rule it out?
Hey, anything's possible. Who knows?
I don't think we can. I think the question is up for grabs. Maybe we'll have to ask the Tuckman himself. Tuckman, if you're listening, please get in touch. Get a DNA test. Let us know if you... Maybe that's, when... I was going to say if, but when you get to the WWE, that could be your gimmick. Undertaker's son. We'll have to run this back for Game 3 because this is fun. I'll just bring one last one on you before we get out of here, Tony Free. We'll do the reverse. So instead of... I'm not going to give you a wrestler. I'm going to give you someone from the state of origin. You tell me, I guess, give me a comparison to any wrestler over time. What do you think Laurie Daly is? Which wrestler do you think he is?
Oh, trying to think of
I've got
the most. I'm trying to think of the most incompetent, inconsistent, unintelligent wrestlers that I could think of, and maybe Doink the Clown.
Damn. You know who I was thinking of? Do you recall esteemed ring announcer Mike Adamle?
No, I don't think so. Not by name, at least.
Mike Adamle was the guy around like 2008, and he called SummerSlam Summerfest, and then he called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey. And we know that Laurie Daly, the Casey McGuire, Casey McLean of it all, not great with names, kind of forgettable stint, and don't bring anything good to the table. So, Laurie Daly, congratulations, you are Mike Adamley. And real ones will know who that is, if all the real yappers and grappers in the chat right now. But yeah, we'll have to bring this back for game 3. But let's wrap it up here, man. This was, thank you for joining us on this episode. If you made it this far, tell a friend. Check us out on YouTube as well. The videos will be up there too. And make sure you keep in touch with us on social media while we do this again. Tony Free, anything exciting happening for you this weekend? And where are you going to be watching the Socceroos?
Well, it's 5 a.m. on Saturday morning, so I'm not sure if I'll still be asleep, but, I might get up for the second half, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen. But
mate.
yeah, lots of soccer. I was just watching, Ghana just got the win over Panama just now. I think there's another game on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they scored with, I think, 5th minute of injury time. So, very late in the piece. The Poms got the win over Croatia. The Ronaldo-Messi narrative is really taking over the World Cup at the moment. So Messi scoring a hat-trick yesterday, and Ronaldo had a 1-1 draw with some country that's rated a lot lower than Portugal is. So it's been very entertaining this week, just seeing the Messi-Ronaldo narrative. And I think Messi's pulled a long way ahead at the moment.
Who's older? Is Ronaldo older? Maybe just?
Maybe. I know Messi's 38. So Ronaldo might be maybe 1 year older than him. I'm not too sure, but
Ronaldo is 41.
Oh wow, he's 3 years older. Yeah, damn.
Yeah, that it really caught up to him, didn't it?
Playing at that age is impressive. I was just thinking the other day. So
40 years old. Jesus.
The Brisbane 2032 Olympics. I'm going to be just into my 40s then, which is scary. But
damn.
Sorry. There's talk of the AFL. There's talk of AFL actually, going in, and AFL Philippines last week. They've just come under the AFL umbrella now. So what needs to happen for an Olympic sport is that you need a certain amount of countries to be under the head organization. So there's a lot of countries now that are now ticked off, which are in, they've come in under that umbrella now. So the wheels are in motion. So could I play the Olympics in my 40s is the big question.
Wow,
I don't think
news.
so, but there you go. That's
breaking news on the Graphs and Yaps podcast.
Hey, there's a long way to go.
Free. Future Olympian ? Time will tell.
But I might be there. In some capacity, I might be at the 2032 Olympics.
Hey, at some capacity, I might be there too, but I definitely won't be playing any sport. I might be sitting there in the crowd, sinking piss. Actually, maybe not. I don't know. I won't be 40, but I'll be close to 40, so maybe I shouldn't be. But mate, that's exciting stuff. Stuff to keep an eye out of. But hey, I said it. I said before. I say it again. The classic saying here in Graphs and Yaps. Time will tell. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you next week, TF. I'll see you then, brother.
See you then.